Caps exclusive now. So today's going to be discussing natural gas. Natural gas has seen some weak price action today, very, very weak. It actually closed down 3.5%, so not a good sign for the bulls to start the week. Now, what's important here, once again, we're retesting this key 186 level. That's your previous weekly gap fill that goes all the way back to your COVID 2020 period there. So definitely a high liquidity volume zone. At the moment, nat gas is still trying to form a little bit of a basing formation, but the longer it takes here, the more likely it sets up that nat gas is actually putting in a potential bear flag to break lower. So the bulls really want to start to try to firm up this momentum and stay above this 186 level. Again, above this, I still think you can be bullish. Below it, I think you can be bearish. Now, the important thing we also need to recognize, take a look at this 4-hour chart of nat gas, not a healthy pattern that I'm going to show you. So if you basically look at this chart pattern on the 4-hour chart, you're now putting in a potential 4-hour head and shoulders. And I just want to say this actual head and shoulders has triggered if you use that neckline. It's triggered on a 4-hour basis. So that's not a positive sign, because if we keep confirming and trending lower, the downside measured moves of this head and shoulders takes us back to about the 171 range, which would not be a good sign, being the fact that you're back below in the bearish price action, below that 186 volume cap. So I'm watching it very, very closely, because obviously that's a pretty big sell-off that could occur, and you really don't want to get caught in a downdraft like that when it's breaking key daily and weekly chart support levels once again. Now, is it all bearish for nat gas? Not at the moment, because why? You held the 20-day moving average today. That's what you checked back to in this consolidation period, and you held it. So that's a short-term positive sign. There is daily chart support. There also happens to be the 50-day moving average sitting at that 183.89 zone. So right at this key area here that we're also currently trading above. So again, if you want to give your trade a little bit more room to run on the long side and maintain those 50 and 20 moving average, that should be a positive area for nat gas to maintain. If you lose that, you could have a bigger decline to the downside for nat gas. There's even potentially this lower boundary target that could actually come to fruition if nat gas breaks this upsloping trend line. You could actually have a downward move all the way back to 135. So just keep that in mind when you're going into leverage position in this particular trade. Obviously, some of the resource stocks with the market have sold off. You look at AR, that's been pummeled over the last couple sessions. You look at LNG, that one just hasn't been able to get going at all. You look at EQT, that one had tried having a little bit of a breakout but got slightly rejected. Still potentially forming an inverted head and shoulders. We'll have to reassess. Long-term wise, EQT is still actually holding this multi-year trend line that goes all the way back to your COVID 2020 lows, connects through a whole bunch of pivots. So at the moment, this stock is looking like a big long-term accumulation pattern. And again, you have a mini one that's occurring here, and you have a very mega inverted head and shoulders occurring here. So imagine this long-term one actually started to break out. What would that entail over a multi-year run for nat gas? If you had a move out of this weekly inverse head and shoulders, and this turned out to be a large right shoulder that's coming up for a breakout here sometime next in the summer, that would mean nat gas prices are likely going much higher, and you could even see the sheer force that this type of trade would have from these current levels. We're talking about a 71% upside move, potentially in the next 12 months or so based off of this pattern. And again, only if we trigger it. We have not triggered at this point in time. Nat gas really needs to firm up, though, or else these equities could also see some further downward pressure. On that note, hopefully this video analysis helps. Please give it a like down below, and we'll see you on the charts a little bit later.